Well, all right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Evans. I'm the director of the City of Miami Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your evening to join. If you were joining us live, thank you for locking in here for our presentation. And if you are joining us or watching at a later time, thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this presentation. We're going to discuss today the Pickleball Master Plan that we have for the Miami City of Miami Parks and Recreation Department. So if I can get my slide to work here, I'm going to go to the next one. So just to give you some more housekeeping and let you know how this workshop will be formatted, we'll start with a summary of the Park System Master Plan. We'll talk through our current and our planned pickleball courts. We'll discuss our future vision for pickleball expansion within the Parks and Recreation Department. And then we'll have a question and answer portion towards the end of the meeting. And then our goal today is to end the meeting by 7:15. I have my staff been working hard today, so wanted to make sure we can, address all of the questions as efficiently as possible. But once again, this meeting is about pickleball, so the focus is on pickleball and what we're doing to bring the sport closer to all of our residents. Background about the City of Miami Parks and Recreation Department. Our mission is to enrich and inspire the community by delivering a world-class park system that is safe, accessible, and facilitates a healthy and happy quality of life. What makes us different from other departments is there on the screen just by the sheer amount of parks we have, the acreage of parkland we have, and as many of you know that are residents and visitors of the City of Miami, that the opportunities for expansion aren't always as vast just because of how dense our neighborhood is. But also wanted to just point out that Bayfront Park, Maurice Freire Park, the historic Virginia Key Beach Park, and Miami Freedom Park are being managed by independent organizations. So they may have plans already in the works to expand pickleball to more residents, but since those facilities are not managed by our department, you have to reach out to them for any additional questions that you may have. Just to highlight a couple of opportunities here within our city, our community partners also have pickleball courts and are very passionate about expanding those opportunities. One of our strong community partners is the Underline. I know they have some goals in expanding recreational amenities within the city. The Underdecks, the I-395 project, they're still in development of what amenities will be there. There's also private providers that are expanding pickleball access within the communities. And then also, our neighboring municipalities are having a focus on pickleball. I just returned from the Florida Recreation and Parks Association conference. You'll see there in the middle of the screen, the pickleball, the journal. Pickleball was highlighted this year, and pickleball is here to stay. So I definitely appreciate everyone here on the call. I took a peek at the guest list. A lot of our strong advocates and those that have been reaching out to our department and to the commissioners are represented on this call, and I want to thank you for advocating on behalf of your sport. The pickleball, the FRPA and the journal there, it was highlighted how Parks and Recreation departments across the state can kind of harness this energy and communicate more effectively to show you all exactly how we plan to expand. In the journal there, I'm looking at it right now. One of the points that they advocated for all of us to do is to hold an open forum on what the pickleball community as a whole wants. To discuss, our new courts being funded. Are we looking into them? What is their need? And I think this is a great opportunity today to kind of give you an overview of kind of our thoughts on how to expand responsibly within our park system. This previous year and a half, we had a park system master plan process, which is a year plus of getting community feedback, getting feedback from our elected officials, city departments, and sports and other activity advocates. The goal of the master plan was to provide you strategic and resilient recommendations for the provision of the facilities, the programs, the services, parkland acquisitions, and development. The master plan will be posted this week on miamigov.com/parks. And the master plan is essentially a guide for us from this year, 2023, up until 2033, on how we can make the necessary improvements on how we manage the facilities, we operate them, program them, staff them, and then so that we can have a world-class park system that all the residents and visitors can enjoy. The master plan is about 250 pages. I'm just going to give you a super, super brief, high-level summary of the master plan, just so you can better understand where we are moving forward. We held 12 in-person and virtual meetings to survey the community on what they thought the Parks Department could do to improve and to provide better services. We received about 36,000 responses to questions on, how we can improve, what areas we need to dedicate resources to. And the guiding principles after receiving that feedback and reviewing them was that we needed to focus on renewing our existing facilities, programs, and services, connect our park system seamlessly into the community, grow the park system to catch up with the city's growth, and to innovate to maximize the equitable impact in the community. As part of the master plan, there was a survey of how, our residents and our visitors would invest. If they, if it was a dream world, they had $1 million, where would they allocate those funds? So the high priority, we broke those three priorities into high priority, medium priority, and low priority. And if you can see the screen now, pickleball was in the low priority range based on the responses that we received. And once again, we received about 36,000, throughout the city. But we understand that, it is the fastest growing sport here in the country, and we need to cater to the needs of the community and present a plan of action by also kind of balancing the needs of all in the community. And my goal is for our department to set the standard, on how to expand responsibly with all of the sports opportunities that we can have. So in order to do that, I did want to allot some time to discuss what we are currently offering for pickleball opportunities within our community. I wanted to introduce our Superintendent of Recreation Facilities and Programs, Mr. Omar Bayona. Also, it is his birthday today, so join me in wishing him a happy birthday, and thank you for taking the baton on pickleball throughout the city. So, no further ado, wanted to open the mic up for Omar.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening, everyone. As Chris said, our goal is to enhance our programming and our activities when it comes to pickleball. This past year, we've been able to increase our facilities pickleball use with 15 courts, 4 of which are at Bryant Park. Bryant has a program on site, has 4 pickleball courts available Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. We also have a coach there for beginners that can learn on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 5 to 8 p.m. Next slide.
Hold on for me, Omar. Trying to get it to advance here. There we go.
Douglas Park, we have created 2 hybrid pickleball courts as well, just like Bryant Park. We are open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. We do have a program there Tuesdays and Thursdays with a certified coach from 5 to 8 p.m.
Slide is not as effective. Here we go. Sorry about that.
No worries. Recently, we have opened up 4 courts at Jose Marti Gym. This is an indoor facility. This is very nice to go in the nice cold AC when it's hot. We are open weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So it is peak time when the sun is out. So if you don't want to head out to a facility that's an open space, you can just come inside to the cool AC and play out here. We are open Saturdays and Sundays, all 4 courts from 12 to 2 p.m. Kurt Monroe has currently 2 pickleball courts, and of course, this is to the Grove is very popular with the Coconut Grove Oak Ave Park, which is currently under construction and hopefully soon to be opened. So 2 temporary courts are available Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Gary Curtis Park has one one pickleball court. It is open, first come, first serve. Charlie Toluca has two youth courts. It's we call it youth because we have our kids training there. It is in a racquetball court setting, so it is a little bit tight, but we are able to fit two courts, and we are able to get some play in there. And I'll pass the baton on to Chris. Thank you, everybody. These are our 15 courts, and hopefully more to come. So you have a good night.
Thank you, Omar. Taking the baton right there from you. So as Omar spoke about there, the Fire Station 8 also, I know is known as, Oak Avenue pickleball courts. There are, the courts are currently under construction. Weather pending, we are estimated that the courts will be open September of this month. There'll be 2 dedicated pickleball courts. Once it's open, it'll be available 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And those courts will be managed by the fire department that's there on site. Also, another exciting project coming soon next year will be Biscayne Park. There's a privately funded sports arena that is going to be coming in that location. It'll have 2 to 4 pickleball courts. The final design has not been finalized, but construction is scheduled to begin in 2024, and those courts will be managed by the Parks Department through a partnership. We wanted to give you an opportunity to see what is in the master plan on how we're going to strategically expand pickleball access within the city of Miami. There is a national standard for pickleball access and the mile buffer that each of the facilities can serve. Our goal here is to responsibly expand pickleball into the community. Pickleball is sometimes a divisive topic due to the noise that it presents, from the pickleball paddles and the balls hitting the court and the paddles, and also just the appearance that we're removing other amenities or prioritizing pickleball over some of the infrastructure needs that are vast within our department. So we want to make sure we expand responsibly. I want to keep our parks out of the news as much as possible. We know that there are other complaints from or community residents that are on the other side of pickleball that are strong advocates against some of the areas, and their main goal is that the sport should expand responsibly and also strategically based on the amount of courts that are needed in the community. I mentioned the community partners before. We know the Miami-Dade County is I think they're having a 10 or 12 court facility that'll be opening soon. I know Miami Beach has some in the plan. There's some in North Miami, Aventura as well. So we understand that pickleball is the fastest growing sport, but also, in the coming years, there'll be many, many courts that'll be available for use throughout the city and throughout the county. So this is a map of just our vision for the next 10 years on how we will expand. This is available in our park system master plan if you want to take a bigger look at that. We did want to talk through a couple of the pages within the master plan, and then also one of our visions and something that we could work on next year if there is the appetite, within the city. So this proposal here is for a parking deck to be converted into recreational space. With the growing trend of remote working, a lot of the parking garages are going underused within the nation. So we have proposed a plan to work with Miami-Dade College to potentially open up the top level of the parking garage on 6 and 27 to be used as 3 pickleball courts and an additional basketball court for the community. This is something that we were strategically planned for. Is it's something that's not really in a residential area, and being that it's elevated so high that it may not be a detriment to anyone else who would want to use the facility. So that is one of our goals within the next few years, to try to see how we can work with Miami-Dade College to expand pickleball access within a community that is in desperate need of parkland. Another topic I'm excited to share with you today is just a concept that we've been working with our staff and to determine what we can do to add pickleball courts in an area that will not be as disrupted by the noise. There is an underutilized space within I-95 next to Jose Marti Park that we are proposing in next year's budget to have funds dedicated to expand the park. So we wanted to show you just a couple renderings of the park and what it could look like. And just to orient you, just in case you may not know exactly the area we're talking about, Jose Marti Park, located on the Miami River here. The pictures on your screen on the right shows what the area looks like currently. It is an area co-managed by the Florida Department of Transportation and the city of Miami. Currently, it only has 2 basketball courts in the area, but does have an opportunity to expand. The area is like directly under I-95 and directly next to a Miami Parking Authority lot. So our concept is to create 10 dedicated pickleball courts at that location. We would have to move the basketball court to the northeast corner, but the goal would be to add 10 dedicated courts and then also some mini soccer pitches. We heard the demand in the city for expanding green space, expanding soccer into this community. And with the amount of residents and buildings that are going up, we think that this kind of facility dedicated to pickleball and mini soccer would be something that we could take advantage of the underused space. We have a rendering here. It's very, very conceptual. It's just to show you that, the 10 courts can fit there within the under area of I-95. And we have already, and the best part about this concept is that we've already identified some funding that could be used. We've requested 1.2 million from the impact fee allocations to be allocated to this project for the next fiscal year. So the way that you make your voices heard, and if this is something that you're interested in seeing, is something that we can start next year if we get it passed. We've done our due diligence to advocate for the dedicated pickleball space, but it's up to the commissioners to pass the budget with our recommendations in order for our vision to come to life. So if you want to make your voices heard, the best that you can do right now, we have a budget meeting or a budget hearing on this coming Saturday, September 9th at 10 a.m. And the second budget hearing will be Thursday, September 28th. And, I invite you to come. There's a public comment portion of the meeting where each of the residents will be given, 2 minutes to speak, just like in a regular commission meeting, on their priorities or if they wanted to advocate. So I'd recommend if it's, you would want pickleball to expand within the city of Miami, that you make your voices heard on our project to expand a dedicated pickleball facility in the city of Miami. That would be a public facility, would be one of the first within the city limits to be constructed. So we want you to make your voices heard. You join me. I'll be there. We'll be listening diligently to all the public comments that we hear. And then whether it's next Saturday or Thursday, September 28th, make your voice heard. So I've done a lot of talking here. If you we're going to open up the meeting for questions, comments, and feedback, and myself or any of our staff that's on the call will be glad to answer your questions. And we have, like I said in the beginning of the meeting, we're going to try to hold the meeting until 7:15 at the latest. So we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can during that time. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Virginia to be the moderator here for the question portion.
So I have
Hello, are the questions able to be asked in person or just by the chat?
we're gonna ask that you put them into the chat.
We'll take a couple of questions on voice as well. Sorry, Virginia, I know I didn't mention that before.
Okay. Hi, Chris. This is Alexis Goldman. We've been in communication via email. I'm the secretary here for the board at CTEC Condominiums. And, I was just wondering how the survey was initiated, or what was the process that you held this survey, because, having access to a huge group of residents who are right in front of the park, I have yet to meet one person in favor of this proposal. So I'm just wondering where you're getting your feedback for this or for this initiative from. Thank you.
Which part?
For the Margaret Pace Park.
Oh, okay. We had the community meeting on August the 10th there at on site. And we know that it was a 2-hour meeting and everybody's not able to always make all of the meetings. So we have an online, if you go to miamigov.com /parks, we are taking.
But are you able to share the numbers of the people that are actually in favor of this? Because again, I have yet to meet one person that's in favor or wants this for our community, really.
Understood. We're talking more about pickleball right now. It's not, we didn't mention Margaret Pace. Those conversations are still underway, and we're still designing the park. It was more or less a master plan concept to get feedback from the community. So we want to focus today on pickleball and some of our ongoing programs. And if you wanted to leave your comment there on miamigov.com/parks, we'll have that available there. So it's not really a voting. It's more of a comments, and we have heard from both sides that do want pickleball and those that don't. So we'll have future meetings there on site whenever we're going to go into construction for those. So
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Virginia, you want to read some of the questions from the beginning portion of the meeting?
Okay, give me just a moment. I need to scroll to the top. One of the questions that was asked is, are the pickleball courts at Jose Marti Park under the bridge?
The concept that we had before, and I'll go back just in case somebody wants to see it or joined a little bit late. Yes, so the area we're speaking about now is the area under I-95. It's not necessarily under the bridge. It's under the area. If you're looking at the screen now, the bottom right picture, the area underneath I-95 behind the baseball field. There are courts available currently. I'll go back a little bit just so you can see that if you were asking about that. The 4 pickleball courts that Omar was discussing earlier are inside the gymnasium, available weekdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and available Saturday and Sunday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Thank you for your question.
We also had another question about Jose Marti. What is the timeline once the funding is approved for the Jose Marti concept?
The timeline is to try to begin construction within the calendar year. Sometimes with these projects, they require extensive permitting through the Florida Department of Transportation and the City of Miami and the building department. So it's hard to determine a hard timeline, but once the funds are available on October 1st, then we would move into planning strategically for construction to begin.
We had another question. Are there any future plans to add pickleball courts at Robert King High Park?
There are, but we have not had any of the public meetings for the master plan concept. So once we have those meetings set, we'll release on our social media pages. I'll make sure I pop that back on the screen right now as well. So if you residents want to make their voice heard on future projects, they'll have the opportunity to do so in person, and then we'll make sure we have the ability to leave the comments online as well.
Another question that was asked is, when was the survey conducted and how do residents find out about future surveys?
All right, the residents can find out about future surveys here on our social media and our website that's here, that's posted. The master plan process is one that's done every 10 years or so. So we've had a professional, consultants, we have, surveys, we use census data, all those numbers were crunched to make the final master plan. And once again, the park system master plan will be available this week on miamigov.com/parks. And we'll make sure, once we release that we have a post on all of our social media sites with the link so you can follow and download and review the pages.
Another question we had was, are there any plans for indoor courts?
At this moment, Jose Marti Gym, that's our plan for right now, to try to center those activities there. We'll have to balance because a lot of our gyms are maxed out with programming between basketball and volleyball, our summer camp, our winter camp. So we're just trying to make sure we are strategic on where we grow, as we only have 4 gymnasiums available within the park system.
Another question that we had asked was, are there any courts north of downtown Miami, Morningside, Upper East Side, Wynwood?
Gotcha. I'm going to jump back into the presentation here for our vision. Upper East Side, at this moment, there are not. There is the construction that will begin next year at Biscayne Park, which is immediately, let me see, what's that? West of Margaret Pace Park, next to the city cemetery. There are 2 to 4 courts that will be, located there of the Upper East Side. So we're still trying to determine where best to add pickleball courts in the north area.
Can you provide the dates referenced earlier for the Margaret Pace Park meeting?
The meeting was held on August the 10th. It was held there on site, but we're taking comments online at miamigov.com/parks. It has the full 25-page presentation there of our master plan vision, and nothing is set in stone as of right now. It's a concept. The first phase of the master plan is about the shoreline. The second phase is about the playground area and the splash pad. So that is what we're discussing on Margaret Pace right now.
Okay, we had another question. The Jose Marti Park expansion concept is great. How long will it take to finish? 1 year, 2 year, 3 years? Do you have a timeline?
We do not have a timeline as of yet. We have to do additional permitting to see, how long it would take to construct the facility. But the most important part is identifying the funding. Some projects we do a design and a master plan, and we try to find funding later. The best part about this project is that we've identified the funding, and if our commissioners approve the funding allocation, then we can immediately begin and give you an update. Once after October 1, depending on how long it takes to permit out the construction.
Oh, we had another question. It says, given the lack of pickleball courts, can we have Bryan Park open up for full-time pickleball play? Is this possible?
Thanks for your question. At this time, we're trying to balance the tennis play and pickleball play. So we understand the inconvenience that, it's not available 7 days a week, but we do have our own programming. We have tennis programs that are needed. So we're going to continue with the same schedule at that location at this time.
We had a question about the courts at Jose Marti. It says, are the hours for pickleball at Jose Marti and basketball simultaneously, or is it pickleball only hours?
Omar, you still there? Can you give me a little insight there while I put this on the screen?
Sure. The weekdays from 10 to 2, it is shared. There's not much basketball going on there, so sometimes they'll put all 4 courts, but normally it's 2, but it's very low use. Now, Saturday and Sundays, we did cut down to 12 to 2, but we're only doing 4 pickleball courts for those 2 hours with no basketball.
Thank you, Omar.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a question that says, if the survey hasn't prioritized pickleball and there are many who may not be in support of pickleball, why is this being done?
Like I said before, there's nothing is set in stone. We're focusing on right now is making sure that there's a playground available for the children next summer. We're still in development of the entire master plan, and we welcome all of your comments on miamigov.com/parks. And if you go to Margaret Pace Park there's an area where you can leave your feedback on all the portions of the master plan and review the presentation.
And if I have not read your question, I ask that you please, at this time, go ahead and put it into the chat because it may have been missed. We want to make sure that we address those questions that we have in the chat. So if you have a question and you haven't heard it read yet, so please just go ahead and drop it in the chat. We have a question that says, are you measuring the noise level and nuisance in all of the areas where you plan to put the pickleball courts?
We're trying to be strategic, yes, on each of the locations. We understand that we have some studies on our own that depending on how many courts you have, that it can be up to 70 decibels, which is similar to some of the highway decibels when we're on the interstate. So that's why we're trying to be strategic with Jose Marti, that location, because it's already, loud and it's covered there next to it. So we're trying to be strategic with each location and take all the comments that we have before we make a final determination on courts.
And we had another question about the indoor courts at Jose Marti.
Mhm.
Have we considered to have exclusive pickleball hours for Jose Marti?
Omar, you wanna grab this one?
Yeah, actually, I just commented on it on
Mhm.
Saturdays and Sundays, 12 to 2.
Dedicated pickleball time right here, Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m.
Yeah.
to 2 p.m.
That starts this weekend.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then we had another Margaret Pace question. It says, what is the next steps for the initiative at Margaret Pace? And how will you plan to measure those who support and those who oppose it?
Thank you. The next steps on that project is to, after September 15th, we're going to review all the comments on the playground and the splash pad. We're going to go to the drawing board to make sure there's design there, and then also for the improvements of the dog park area. And then we're going to have some conversations with the district commissioner and make sure that we're being strategic on how we expand. So we'll be reviewing all the comments as they come in.
I think that about wraps up all the questions that we have. Chris, if there's anything else you would like to say before I close out our recording?
No, for sure. I want to thank everyone for your time tonight. I'm gonna put our contact information here back on the screen. So put that there. So you're welcome to send us an email there, parks@miamigov.com, with any of your feedback. Also, the social media pages are there as well. Instagram @Miami Parks, Facebook @Miami Parks 305, on Twitter @Miami Parks, and then YouTube, our City of Miami government page is there. So thank you everyone for your time today to learn a little bit more about our plans for pickleball. Once again, if you would like to continue to advocate for pickleball courts and in the community, or if you want to make your voices heard on any of the other matters in the budget, the City of Miami budget hearings are Saturday, September 9th at 10 a.m. at City Hall, and then the second hearing will be Thursday, September 28th. So thank you all for your time tonight, and I appreciate all the feedback and all the questions you received. So we look forward to serving you better every day. Have a good night.